One problem we have in the field is that people are not good in analytical biochemistry.
Right.
So they have to know the methods how these things are being measured. Unfortunately, all the companies which are offering commercial epigenetic tests are using chips, mostly EPIC chips. And these tools were developed for research. And they generally have approximately 10% measurement error. Because if you are analyzing 1,000 people, 10% measurement error is not important. It will level out and you will see the biology. And this is why we see a lot of good papers in epigenetics. Because by studying cohorts, you really get information behind epigenetic. Because epigenetics is probably regulating most of the changes that happen in us during life. But if you have a 10% measurement error, this means if you're 50, you'll either be 55 or 45. And this is something what we saw. We did it with Allen Scientific. We analyzed 9 samples taken on 2 days, and they were 5 years up and down. And it doesn't matter on which clock you kind of calculate. It's just the measurement of CpG methylation using the technology. There are better technologies. You can do pyrosequencing, you can do whatever. Just they're too expensive.
No, I think there's an important point I need to make here, because Aubrey's right. And it's missing the forest for the trees.
Yep.
So and I think it's good that you and I can have this conversation because we can understand the statistics.
Right.
The average person is going to think what you just said means that 3 of the tests work. That's not right. The problem is we don't know. That's the whole point. These companies are not transparent on what the errors are. We don't know what the errors are. My test was a way to try to get it. Is the error crazy big? It's much bigger than I expected it to be.
And you did epigenetic tests. So, as in, I don't want to name that. You were public about the names, were you? Or?
Yeah. So, True Diagnostic, Mudo, Tally Health, and Elysium were the 4 tests. So Aubrey's right. Maybe some of the tests work. Maybe some don't, but we have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, my point is that I was actually quite surprised because of exactly what Gordan said about the technical reliability of the chips. I was quite surprised that 3 of your tests gave duplicates that were so close together to each other.
They weren't that close together. They were plus or minus a few years, right? But that's almost 10%.
Pretty close, really. I was surprised how close they were. But the point is, absolutely, that what they're measuring, in you, they were measuring somewhat different things. That's why they gave different results from each other. And why those
I don't know if that's the case. You don't know if that's the case. You're speculating. Maybe that's the case. That's my point.
Well, I mean, they had to have been measuring different things if they were reproducing into say, that if each individual test was giving the same answer every time. Of course, you only did it twice, so we don't know that. But let's suppose you'd done them each of them 10 times, and they'd all come out, within a couple of years of reproducibility. Then we can pretty confidently say they're measuring different things in you. Now, what is surprising, of course, and alarming, is that they gave different numbers relative to your chronological age. And that says to me that the way they calibrated them was in a manner that overestimates people's correlative biological age in some people and underestimates it in other people.
Maybe. Again, I think so. Yes, that's all fascinating. And I don't disagree with anything you said, really, except that we don't know because we don't have the data set to really know what would happen if you could really do these experiments 9-time replicates over time in people with the same test. What we do know is that nobody knows, maybe the companies know, nobody else knows what the error actually is. And so when consumers are using these tests, or what I find particularly concerning is when clinicians are using these tests, they're using something where they don't know what the error rate is. They have no way to know whether a difference over time is real or not. And so you are going to misinterpret those results. And I don't think they're clinically meaningful or useful at this point. So that's the key point, I think.
They are useful for the consumer.
Why?
Or are they? Okay, so is there a net benefit right now for testing your age?
Well, let's look at the cost benefit, right? Okay, what might the benefit be? It might be that it motivates some people to adopt a healthier lifestyle. And I think that's true. What are the costs? $500 per test, and it might demotivate people who get a negative result once they've made a positive change in their lifestyle.
Right.
So I
What,
think,
what do you think about that?
Well, I think we have distinguished two things. One is analytical accuracy, what you were
Yes,
talking about.
right.
So if the test is returning a random number, it's dangerous
yes,
because you can really do a lifestyle intervention, which is good, and then randomly get the wrong number and say, oh, this is not working for me. So I think first thing which has to be done in the industry is to define the accuracy or precision, actually, of these tests. So
100%.
are you measuring precisely? And as what you mentioned many times, there has to be some kind of external verification of the laboratory. So there has to be...
Are there people that are there testing companies that are not being analytical and truthful with their data then?
all of them except glycan age.
The big question is why.
You know, you're asking me, I'm here as one of the co-founders of GlycanAge. I cannot say GlycanAge is doing it good, otherwise they're doing it bad. So I can't say that. But I can say what we are doing. So we are analyzing every sample in triplicate. It costs us 3 times the money, but we do it in triplicate from 2 reasons. One of the big dangers which people do not realize is a sample mix-up. They have one sample, you put it somewhere in a plate, you miswrite something, and you return the number to the wrong person. And if the labs are not the clinical grade labs, these things happen.
They actually happen.
It happens very often.
How often? How often are we talking? Like how many as a percentage?
It's going to vary depending on the lab. And
what is the likelihood?
I don't know. I can
It's
just tell you.
a couple of percent.
Yeah.
So generally, people make mistakes between 1 and 5% of things they do. You know, if you pipe it, you make occasional mistakes. But it's many people get wrong numbers. So we do it in triplicate because if you're putting the same person on 3 places, and if these 3 places, if 3 numbers do not match, we do it again. Meaning, maybe you mix one of them, and then
Quality control.
we have it there. Then the second thing we do is, so we have 96 well plate, 27 samples in triplicates, and then we have 12 standard samples. So we have 3 different standard samples done in a tetraplicate. So we can measure the error, and we can also do something we call the batch correction, meaning we can correct each of the batches to the standards, so that when I compare my sample today with my sample analyzed 3 months ago, it compares to the same value. And what we are doing now, we are putting these chemical kits on the market, so any lab can use the same standards and go on the same metrics. So the numbers we are generating have error of approximately 1%, which is below any kind of routine clinical test, which I think is important because if I make decisions about my lifestyle based on the number which is measured, I want to have reliable information.
Thanks for watching this Beyond Tomorrow clip. If you haven't subscribed yet to our main channel, join us there for conversations that can help you thrive today and flourish tomorrow. We'll see you next time.